Are You Really Going to Eat That? Podcast episode 136. Hey there, I'm your host Wendy Hill and I'm a naturopathic nutritional therapist and expert in female hormone health. I specialise in helping women gain confidence and understand their bodies, allowing them to shine. I'm a huge foodie and this podcast allows me to bring you an eclectic mixture of guests where food and health is our uniting passion. So how are we all doing? Welcome to this week's podcast. Now, before I get started, I just wanted to say a massive thank you to the lovely Jane Lawrence. Now, Jane left me a review from podcast episode 132, which was with the lovely Sandra when we were talking about sleep and pain, Sandra Webber and our sleep and pain episode. And she said, hey, Wendy, wow. Thanks, Jane. What an amazing podcast. I've taken a lot from that. I've also shared it with my mum. So Jane, thank you so much for sharing it with your mum. And if I can ask one thing from everybody today, if you enjoy this week's episode, can you pop up and leave me a review? That would be amazing. Or can you share it with someone? Can you share it with your mum or your sister or your work colleague or your neighbour or the person that you meet in the supermarket, whoever it might be? If you could share this week's podcast with someone who you think would resonate and, you know, the episode would help with, then I would really, really appreciate that. Now, the last couple of months, last month we were talking quite a lot about sleep, and this month we are talking quite a lot about mental health, and they are very much connected. And today, our kind of topic, our headline topic is the gut-brain axis. And this is definitely a topic that is close to my heart. It is something that I talk to my clients about all the time. And we mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, and I am going to keep talking about it because I think it's really important that we, you know, that people like me keep sort of honing in the importance of our digestive health and our mental health. Now, our brains and our guts are connected by a nerve called the vagus nerve. If you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you probably will have heard me mention it many times and you probably will know what it is. But just in case you've forgotten, or for those newbies, perhaps for Jane's mom, who's only just started listening, then the vagus nerve is the nerve that connects our guts, our digestive system, to our brain. The key thing with the vagus nerve is to know is two things. First thing is that it's a big nerve. You can see it on autopsies. We call it a superhighway. The second thing that you need to be really aware of, I was going to say mindful of then, but really kind of aware of is the fact that 80% of the signaling goes, around 80%, obviously, you know, it's not an exact number, but around 80% of the signaling goes from the digestive, from the gut to the brain. From the gut to the brain. And this is really, really key when we are thinking about why our digestive health is so important when we're talking about our mental health. This is why we want to talk about things like the gut-brain axis, because there has been a huge amount of research that shows that there is a real direct correlation between our microbiome health and our mental health. So what would be our ultimate brain performance diet? You know, what diet is going to nurture our gut-brain axis? Well, I wish I had the answer to that because there isn't. And, you know, we can't prescribe diets. And I think it's clear to show that, you know, there is a really clear link between processed foods and poor mental health. So the first thing I would say is in our brain performance diet, the diet that's going to help that gut-brain axis is to eat as little as possible of processed foods as you can. And when I talk about processed food, I am talking about ultra processed foods. So there are 4 levels of processed foods. And you've got your minimally processed, so it might just be put in a jar or put in a tin or something. Then you might have something that's been partly cooked, or even things like olive oil is processed in a way because it's taken from the olive fruit and oil is made from it. So there isn't that as processed. You know, we dry spices to lengthen the life. We cure meat, so they are slightly processed. And then you have the third level where it might be that you've collated ingredients. You might have a jar of maybe passata. That would be kind of a level 3. And then we talk about ultra processed, which is level 4, which is the stuff that you don't want. And that's stuff that doesn't look like food. We're thinking about kind of pastries, things that always come out this, sorry, Mr. Kipling, but Mr. Kipling's cakes that always look identical. Every single slice looks identical. Well, if you make real cake, it doesn't look like that, does it? So it has things in it to make it come out identical every single time, where it's been cooked and the molecular structure has been changed. That's ultra processed. We don't want that. The nutritional value of them is very minimal. And this is the key to think about is when you're having your brain performance diet, if there is such thing, is that you want things that have nutrition, that have, a nutritional value. Remember, I talked right back at the beginning and said, is it the fact that we are eating very nutritionally poor food, which is meaning that we're not getting all the raw ingredients, and this is driving poor mental health? I do genuinely believe that there is an element of that, but also I do genuinely believe there is an element of us not balancing that gut microbiome, remembering that 80% of the signal is coming from the gut. So we need a happy, healthy gut to have a happy, healthy brain, as well as all the raw ingredients. It's clearly shown in studies that eating a diverse diet, a wide range of foods, and the Mediterranean diet is often heralded as one of the best diets, but it has been shown like Norway eats slightly different, and that definitely had an impact when they kind of ate their traditional foods, lots of fermented foods. So I think it's a case of trying to eat whatever is seasonal wherever you live, eating with the seasonal, eating stuff that is local and that is more around your culture is definitely seen to be better for our overall health and well-being. We have the blue zones, which are also, kind of like, very low levels of chronic illnesses, longer, healthier, happier lives. And these have some similarities, but the key sort of joining factors isn't just diet. So the diet is often around a more historic diet, a diet that would have been traditional for many years, a seasonal diet, whatever that might be, wherever the blue zone is. But also it's around things like, promoting a feeling of well-being, having a community spirit. So having friends and family around you that support you so that you feel nourished and supported. That you have a good quality sleep is a really important one. Reducing stress levels. Modern society, it is highly stressed. And again, we're living our lives constantly on the edge. This is not going to help that gut-brain axis. Think about how you feel when you've got a nerve, you're nervous for a meeting and stuff, that, sends butterflies in your stomach and stuff. This is not conducive to good digestive health. And then regular gentle exercise, again, associated with all of these. So for me, thinking about the gut-brain axis is really key in that connection, remembering that it is permanently connected, remembering that 80% of the signals are coming or thereabouts from what we know. We're not monitoring it 24 hours a day, but from what we understand, the majority of the signals are coming from the gut. So remembering that signals are coming from the gut and thinking about, our mental health in terms of digestive health first, rather than sort of medication or, that might, kind of help increase the levels of serotonin. But actually, if we're not sorting out the digestive health, and sometimes it needs to be a two-pronged attack. And I'm not saying for the first minute that people should come off all kinds of prescriptions. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that we need to remember that we're a multifaceted, beautifully connected being, and just one thing isn't going to help. It's lots of many things, because we are many things connected. So that's it from me for this week. I hope you understand a little bit more about the gut-brain axis and, the vagus nerve, if you've not heard that before. And I will be with you next week with an interview with the lovely Kate McCaffrey. So we'll see you next week. And as always, do let me know, what have you got for tea? Thank you for listening to the Are You Really Going to Eat That podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, why not share it with your family and friends? And the best way to help me get out to a wider audience would be to leave me a review. So if you just got a couple of minutes, if you popped into iTunes and just scroll down to the bottom, click 5 stars, of course, and leave me a review, that really helps our ratings. And to make sure you get every episode in your inbox on a Wednesday as it's released, remember to click subscribe. Thank you so much for your support. Tune in again next week for the latest episode.